The Cleveland Browns are trying to sell a BS story that Shedeur Sanders is injured and therefore unable to play in the next game, the next preseason game, after he had that outbreak or that breaking out party where everybody was like, see, Shedeur Sanders is a good quarterback. He looked like a first-round pick out there in the last game, and the hype on the internet went crazy.
We have good process, okay? And if you'd have told me, let's see, we picked him on Saturday, right? Friday night driving home, y'all are going to pick Shedeur, I would say that's not happening.
The NFL's serving up some serious drama in Cleveland right now, and it's all about Shedeur Sanders' oblique injury. Word on the street is that this might be straight up a plot by the Browns and owner Jimmy Haslam to shove Shedeur out the door. But here's the crazy stuff. The team's doc saying this injury ain't even that bad. And now Haslam is reportedly fuming.
Or you're watching the news and you're seeing the owner sit there and go, no, well, as of Friday night, they weren't even thinking about me. And then they had a meeting and the right people were in there and they wound up drafting me. I'm sitting here going, man, am I really at the right place here?
After a good debut, Shedeur during a joint practice with the Philadelphia Eagles was reported to have gotten an oblique injury from throwing in warm-ups. They shut him down, called him day-to-day, and so far he's missed a game already.
Again, this happened in individual drills, and then he was shut down for the rest of the day. He didn't do 7-on-7s, he didn't do 1-on-1s, he didn't do 11-on-11s, and this was a big deal for these guys to come up here and practice against the Super Bowl champion Eagles and their #1 defense. So for Shedeur to have to sit out was bad, and if you suffer an oblique injury on Wednesday, I don't know. In my mind, that means you're probably going to have to sit out the Thursday practice and possibly even that game on Saturday, which was going to be an opportunity for him to build on what he did in that Panthers game.
We did get word, our Browns analyst Tony Grossi, who is live in Philly, saying that the Browns say Shedeur was held out with an oblique injury suffered early in practice. I was a little guilty of it, scratching my head, freaking out that Tyler Huntley was getting reps over Shedeur Sanders, but then we quickly realized, wait a second. Both Riz and I came to the realization, hold on. He has to be hurt. We said maybe some arm soreness again, like he had a week or so ago. Oblique injury. We're waiting on any more information on how long that he could be held out, but that's what we have for now.
Coach Kevin Stefanski dropped a line. If it's a right guard, you can play through that. But for a quarterback, you need that muscle to throw, so we're going to be smart. Sounds fair, right? Obliques are crucial for QBs.
If it's a right guard, you can play through that. When it's a quarterback, you kind of need that muscle to throw. So unfortunately, going to put him down for a little bit here. We'll treat it day to day and see how he responds. But want to be smart because he's a thrower, so you can't push it.
But hold up, the team's own doctor says it's a mild strain, nothing crazy. And Shedeur is chilling on the sidelines, chatting with Jalen Hurts, looking like he's ready to run a marathon. So why is this being played up like a season ender?
Shedeur Sanders is a good quarterback. He looked like a first-round pick out there in the last game, and the hype on the internet went crazy. And because of that, I believe the Cleveland Browns said, we got to slow some of this down. And we look foolish right now. One thing that you're not going to do is make us look foolish. So let's slow this down. Say he's injured. He can't play in the next game because everybody was saying if he does it in back-to-back games, now we got to look at the situation differently. What is really going on in Cleveland?
Here's where it gets wild. Pundits and fans on X are screaming that this injury is a straight-up ploy by Haslam and the Browns to push Shedeur out, and even suggest Haslam is furious about this info getting out because it's exposing their plan.
The head coach of the Cleveland Browns responded to all this, and he said this. He said, if it's a right guard, you can play through that. He said, when it's a quarterback, you kind of need that muscle to throw. So unfortunately, it's going to put him down for a little bit here. So that's right there. People are going, what do you mean put him down for a little bit? A strain, not a tear, a strain.
You see, Haslam was never all in on Shedeur. Back in April, when the Browns drafted him, essentially Sports reported Haslam basically shrugged it off, saying, that's GM Andrew Berry's call. while the draft room was dead quiet.
If you just told me, see, we picked him on Saturday, right? Friday night driving home, y'all are going to pick Shedeur, I would say that's not happening. But at the end of the day, that's Andrew Berry's call. Andrew made the call to pick Shedeur.
If you feel this way about Shedeur, why y'all still got the man?
Since 2000, the Cleveland Browns have had 35 different starting quarterbacks. But now you're going to take it upon yourself to say Shedeur Sanders wasn't your pick. And that's probably why it's gonna work.
Hey, when I look at it, I just like how the young man going about himself, man. Shedeur. There's no better way to go about this than keep your head down and keep working, bro. He looks comfortable out there, first and foremost. And he looks like he's still enjoying the game, man. And I think this is just more, fuel to the fire as opposed to it's going to help him out throughout his NFL career in general.
You know what they're trying to do? Trying to break him.
Actually, Haslam's been burdened before the Deshaun Watson trade. A $230 million flop he called a big swing and miss. So he's not exactly hyped about another risky QB pick.
Jimmy Haslam said he was driving home on Friday night. Never crossed his mind, that's after the third round, that they were going to draft Shedeur Sanders the next day. When you draft a quarterback in the third round, when you already have Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett on the roster, it makes absolutely no sense to draft another quarterback in that second or third day. And it felt like today, guys, I have nothing to do with this. They pick the players. I don't tell them to pick the players. This quarterback one, I'm sorry, I just don't buy it. He can say whatever he wants, and listen, you watch him talk, he's smooth at saying it. I just don't believe him, because I can't imagine a GM, given their situation, even from a money ball standpoint, it doesn't work like that at quarterback. This owner has proven to get involved. He got involved with Deshaun Watson, and I think it's pretty clear that he got involved here.
The Browns are using this injury to bury Shedeur on the depth chart. With Flacco as the starter, Pickett as the trade pickup, and Gabriel as the third rounder, Shedeur is the odd one out. If he keeps shining like he did against Carolina, fans might start chanting his name. And that's a problem for a team trying to stick with the vets or hype up Gabriel. So maybe they slap an injury label on him, limit his reps, and either cut him or stash him on the practice squad.
Circus. And people were like, why do you say he's a circus? He's a good player. I didn't say he's not a good player. I didn't say he's a bad player. I said your starting quarterback has to be the guy. The cameras, the lights, the action, the locker room, everybody wants that guy in the locker room with the mouthpiece in, lining up on Sundays. And if you don't, and you got a guy like Shedeur Sanders, who's in the backup position, fourth on the depth chart, and they're like, we're here to see Shedeur Sanders. Right? The media's in the locker room bypassing all the quarterbacks. They walk right past Kenny Pickett, didn't even know he was even in there. Right? Walk right past Dylan Gabriel, probably didn't even see him, little. Sees Joe Flacco, goes, holy shit, Joe Flacco looks like he should be in the NBA. And then they get ready to, there's Shedeur Sanders. That's the guy I've been wanting to see. No one wants to see a video of you posting anybody else on the internet except for Shedeur Sanders. And so my point is, this injury is pretty significant.
X-Post are eating this up. One user, at RealClark25, said, well, at least Andrew Berry gets to take credit for the Shedeur pick all by himself, because it was made clear the owner wanted nothing to do with it. Another, at Sportsboy Tony, was like, Browns have made it obvious how they feel about Shedeur, burying him fourth on the depth chart. Now, here's the real tea. Haslam's reportedly mad that this whole injury thing got out.
Cleveland Browns owner Jimmy Haslam has come out and basically said he didn't want Shedeur Sanders. He didn't want them to draft Shedeur Sanders. The GM wanted Shedeur Sanders and drafted Shedeur Sanders. And my thing is, okay, if you feel that way, why come out and say that right now when their young Royal is fighting for a position and a spot on the team? How do you think that makes him feel when he knows that the boss, the big boss of the Cleveland Browns, the owner of the team, didn't want him and probably still doesn't want him? Because there's no way he wants Shedeur on his team for him to come out and say that, despite the fact that Shedeur Sanders bringing the Cleveland Cavaliers all kind of media coverage, the popularity has gone up, and he's a businessman. But it's just strange for him to come out and say that against this young man who's out there fighting for a position. Think about you in your job. And you know the boss of the boss in your job don't like you, don't want you there.
The team's doc report, backed by ESPN and The Athletic, says Shedeur's MRI showed a minor strain. With cautious optimism, he'll be back for practice soon and maybe even play in the preseason finale on August 23rd. If it's so minor, why the big fuss? The league's got fans and analysts like Ashley Bastock on the Orange and Brown Talk podcast saying the Browns' cautious approach could spark backlash, especially if Shedeur is sidelined while Pickett or Gabriel gets reps.
Of course, the thing it does do, Ashley, is it does take away a lot of valuable reps from Shedeur Sanders because, as we've talked about, once you get to the regular season, the starter gets a bunch of reps, the backup might get some reps, but there aren't a lot of reps to go around. So if he has to miss beyond this week, and you just never know with these oblique injuries how much they could linger, it really does set him back.
It does.
Haslam's history of meddling doesn't help. Pro Football Rumors noted he pushed for Johnny Manziel in 2014 and Watson in 2022, both bust, so his skepticism about Shedeur tracks. If he didn't want him, and now the world knows the injury might be a cover, it's a bad look for Cleveland. Stefanski got caught in the middle, trying to play it cool while Haslam's breathing down his neck.
Perception out there that no matter what you guys have said so far, that Jimmy made the call.
He didn't. He did not.
And was he the first? And you can reiterate that he was definitely the top-rated quarterback on your draft heading into the draft.
I don't get into telling anybody what was on my board. At the end of the day, Jimmy did not make the call. I know a lot of people want to stick that on Jimmy, but for the world to hear, Jimmy Haslam did not make that call. He didn't try to influence the decision. He didn't try to push it in a different direction. He did none of those things.
Logan said Jimmy said pull the trigger and trade up the draft.
Again, I can say 100% certainty Dow Loggins was not in the room when that discussion happened.
So is Shedeur's injury a real setback or a sneaky move by Haslam to ditch a QB he never wanted? The dog says it's minor, and Haslam's fuming, and pundits are calling it a scandal. Cleveland's got a mess on their hands, and the NFL's watching. Drop your thoughts in the comments. You think Haslam's pulling the strings, or is this just bad luck for Shedeur?